I guess I can start us off. Hello and welcome back to the podcast that never stops giving. And by that, I mean this should probably be our first or second episode. So we won't stop putting them out if you guys. Yeah. So like last week, and it'll probably get released at the same time as this one. I'm Thomas again. You can find me on Twitter at tstymon13. I'm from Canada, based there, living there. Next, I'm going to pass it over to Chris.
Hi, yes, I'm Chris Baxter. You can also find me on Twitter at bag1982. I'm based in the UK, and snowy UK today. Nice and cold for us. And I can now pass you over to Zach, who's joined us this week. Zach?
I'm Zach Krieger. I don't have a Twitter account. You can just find me in the MCU page group. I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Go Pack Go. Yeah, this is a podcast.
100%. All right, guys. So now we got everyone together, and I think we might as well just get right into it. And let's first off just talk about the hype surrounding the first Marvel Studios release in a year and a half. This has been a long time coming, and I don't know, what are your guys' thoughts? Because Kevin Feige did come out and say earlier today, or I don't know if it was earlier today or yesterday, that the original plan was for Falcon and Winter Soldier to release before WandaVision. However, now that it's flipped, he actually likes this more.
Yeah, that I haven't heard that, but that's interesting because certainly the way I've looked at it, the trailers that I've seen for the TV stuff, the WandaVision, Loki, and Falcon and the Winter Soldier in particular, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier seems like the safe bet, where it's just very good. Seems a very good action sort of orientated sort of series, whereas you've got WandaVision and Loki that just, to me, just seem absolutely nuts, which is good. And I think Marvel seem to have the sort of the balls to do something very different, and that's certainly from what we've seen on the trailers. WandaVision in particular looks to be completely nuts, and I'm very interested to see how it pans out across. I don't know how long the episodes are. I mean, we were just discussing earlier, Zach, weren't we, that the Shield episodes probably are a bit too long. I don't know how long the WandaVision episodes are going to be, but a good 30-40 punchy minutes I think would probably be good, but we'll see, I suppose.
I think it's going to be like Mandalorian. It's going to differ. I mean, since it's a Disney Plus show, like Shield, they had an hour block to fill, and it was a big, ABC, series, so they had to fill that time. I think with WandaVision, it's going to vary with what's going on in the episodes. And I mean, and with the Vision first before Falcon and Winter Soldier, I think that had a lot to do with the pandemic, because from what I heard, when that all started, they had to halt filming for Falcon and Winter Soldier because they were overseas in Russia, I believe, or something. Somewhere overseas. So I think the thing was, I think WandaVision was just done filming before all that, and all they had to do was editing. But like Chris said, yeah, it's kind of the safer bet, though, with Falcon and Winter Soldier, because that's gonna be successful. I mean, everyone's waiting for the new Captain America and see what Bucky's doing after Endgame. Excuse me.
I wonder if it's almost going to change kind of the tone of at least what the original Phase 4 plan might have been going forward. Because I feel like it might have been the original, like, kind of like how Phase 3 was. You get off to like an action-packed start. Black Widow, Falcon and Winter Soldier right off the gate. That was originally what was supposed to happen last year. Obviously that didn't happen. Now it seems like, I mean, we've heard all the rumors about the multiverse, which we can get into in a bit, but I kind of think that they're just going full into that now, because Loki seems to be at least teasing it with all the time travel.
Yeah,
this is like supposed to directly connect to Multiverse of Madness, and apparently might connect to Spider-Man 3.
And then Doctor,
Well,
We can edit that
Feige. Well, Feige's actually come out and confirmed, hasn't he, that that WandaVision is going to connect with the multiverse of Madness and Spider-Man 3 as well. So it's that could be tedious links, or could just be, I don't know, major characters or major plot lines going into them. It's difficult just to talk about sort of WandaVision in isolation because it's going to connect with other stuff. And you want to talk about the other stuff, and it's we could talk for a long time probably on everything that's coming up. And with Feige saying it's going to connect directly into them two films in particular. But I bet them films connect as the MCU does, connects in with everything else anyway.
Yeah. I'm very curious what they're gonna do with I can't remember the actress's name. She seems to be playing a witch, and she's friends with Wanda and Vision in the trailers.
Oh, yeah.
You know
She's in
who
a lot of movies.
Oh, I think it's Agnes. She's called Agnes.
Yes.
Catherine. I'd written it down. Hold on, I'll find it somewhere. She plays quite heavily in the trailers. There's a lot of her in the trailers. You think she's going to be? You think she's going to be a witch, do you?
I think she's a bit more than the witch. I think Marvel's been doing this thing where they seem to be gender flopping. Sorry, that might be an odd term. Not gender flopping, just changing the gender of a villain or a hero. Like, I'm trying to think. Salma Hayek's Ajax in the comics is normally a man, but it's going to be played by a woman in this Eternals movie.
Right.
Oh, her costume looks dope too. Don't even get me started on that. I'm so hyped for that one. But who was it? Ghost is usually a male, like from the Ant-Man and the Wasp movie. I kind of have a feeling Taskmaster's going to be a girl too. Just a hunch. So it wouldn't surprise me if they change the actual devil of the Marvel Universe, Mephisto, into being Agnes, being this person there, the person who's manipulating everything. And honestly, I don't think she's really going to be as much a villain in this show as she's just going to be almost like how Palpatine is to Anakin for Wanda. So she's going to kind of take her under her wing. And then I kind of think that Agnes is going to come out, end up being Mephisto, like have some kind of control over Wanda, and that's going to be what causes like the Multiverse of Madness movie, and that's going to be the big thing that Strange is fighting alongside Nightmare and Mordo.
Or if she is like a witch, like maybe she's behind like all the things that is happening in WandaVision, all these different scenarios. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know if you guys watch Supernatural, that TV show. The trickster almost, like altering what they see and everything and putting them in these different scenarios.
Yeah.
Because it's like you said, she plays pretty heavy in the trailer. So she could be the one like putting Wanda through all this stuff. And, I mean, we'll have to wait and see in a week, but.
Yeah, there does seem to be a theme running through the trailer that she's, I don't know whether or not it's she's unconscious and they're trying to wake her up. I think is it Agent Wu says at some point, is it who's doing this to you? Or it just makes me think, is she unconscious and it's or is she creating all this around her? It's going to be interesting to see how all that sort of comes out through the series. There's also a bit where, and I thought it was Agnes that says this. I don't think it's clear. But someone says, "Are you here to help us?" Which again, I thought it was Agnes that had said that in the trailer. But like the MCU does, it's what we see in the trailer isn't necessarily what we end up seeing. So.
That just every time there's this thing like that just reminds me of the Infinity War trailer. Iron Man, tell me his name again. Gamora, completely different scene. Wasn't even near him like at all in that movie. It's just like Thanos is like, oh, okay.
That's right.
But, no, I think it's probably gonna. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Zach.
Oh, no, I was going to say Marvel. Marvel learned that pretty good from Star Wars with misdirection, because their trailers literally, I mean, kudos to them, because you had no idea what was going on in those movies because of the trailers. And then you go see the movie and, yeah. Disappointment with Star Wars, but Marvel, they, you know, it ends up being good.
Yeah. It'll be very interesting to see what we get for WandaVision, and that's going to be coming next week on the 15th, I believe, right? First two episodes.
Yeah.
Disney Plus. We'll be sure to be watching.
I was reading last night that some article like, oh, didn't you think Vision was, you know, very dead during Endgame and Infinity War? And with the reactions, because obviously, like, you know, they have to view it before they release it, and a lot of the reactions and everything from, like, I don't know if it was Rotten Tomatoes or something, but they're saying you get kind of an explanation of if Vision is actually alive or will be brought back, which, you know, on the end of Infinity War, when they take the Mind Stone out, he turns gray, which in the comic books, he was gray silver without the Mind Stone. So I don't know if that was like a little hint that they're going to bring him back, because I think Shuri finished what she was doing, but like wasn't able to
wake Vision up.
Yeah.
Or actually,
yeah.
Stone, rather. Sorry, that's what it was.
Yeah. And then obviously she disappeared during the snap, but now that she's back, maybe they put them back together or something. So I'm assuming they kept the body. They didn't just leave it in the woods or Wakanda.
I hope
not.
Maybe they maybe they melted them down.
Use the extra vibranium.
Yeah. Well, I actually watched Infinity War just a couple of weeks ago, and you're right, Zach. Shuri, and I've seen it a few times, and it's been mentioned on different forums or whatever about Shuri just before. I can't remember who comes in to sort of disturb her, but she quickly sort of turns and quickly does something with her fingers and types on the board and looks like she's finishing something off before she turns to try and defend herself. So it does look like she's finished the download or whatever, however you call it. But it does look like she's finished something, and Vision is maybe on a memory stick somewhere. I don't know, and that's where that's where it comes back from. But that is something which I'm interested to see what happens here, of how, you know, has he just come back? Is he alive, or is it Wanda bringing him back to life in her head or whatever? Again, it's all these questions which are rolling around in my head, and like I say, Marvel are very good at bringing these stories out and making good sense of them. So I'm interested to see how all that pans out. Yeah.
And they're also very good. They're good at answering the questions we have, but then they're also good at raising more questions after those questions are answered. So
yeah.
I have a feeling we're gonna have many, many more questions about WandaVision once it's released, and probably leading more into Doctor Strange 2 and Loki. You know, it's gonna raise more questions with that.
There's like, I don't know if this is 100%, but I'm pretty sure after the last episode of WandaVision airs, there's either a week or 2 weeks, and then the first episode of, I think it's Falcon and Winter Soldier airs.
March.
Yeah.
March. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's like a week or two, we're going to be without anything from Marvel. And then we're going to get another show. And then we're going to get another show. And then we're going to get movies. Finally.
Yeah.
Well, we've had a year and a half out, so we need to be spoiled, don't we? Really?
Oh, we really do. I'm like, just before we move on to Thor: Love and Thunder, let me just search up the Marvel slate for 2021.
Just going back on the WandaVision and the trailer, there was a couple of things that just wanted to point out. Darcy is in the trailer.
Yes.
Did you spot Darcy?
I did.
From the first two Thor films, which I thought was unusual for her to just pop up. She was a decent enough character, I thought. I don't know if is Darcy in the comics, is she?
I'm trying to think.
We established, sorry, just Zach, we established in the first podcast that me and Tom did that that I'm very much an MCU fan and not a comic book fan. So all the sort of comic book stuff, I'm leaving up to you and Tom to answer these questions.
I'm still catching up on the comics. There's so many. I mean,
oh my god, yes, there is.
growing up, I was more into the X-Men comics, and then it was not until I was like 15, 16 that I actually started getting like into Marvel, like, the Avengers, which was, Iron Man wasn't released by then, so when those did come out, I was getting really excited because I finally started reading some comics. But, again, bringing up Star Wars, I mean, obviously the comic books don't necessarily run along with the MCU. Because the MCU kind of takes the comic books and put them in their own perspective. So, I mean, they can take a lot out of it, but do it in their own way. Like Tom was saying, changing the genders, or, Nick Fury.
Well, there's like just a ton of things, and it's weird too. Just like you bring up Star Wars, and like I know this is a Marvel podcast, but like I do think it's so cool that they just intertwine the comics with the shows and the movies, and like I think that's beautiful. But I think it's really only that great if you're as dedicated as a fan as like all of us are, right?
Well,
like
because like
otherwise it's just like this is stuff I'm never gonna know.
Yeah, it's like if you only watch the movies but don't follow the books, you're gonna get really confused. Like,
which like thankfully for this, like there's a bit more media we have to look at, but like it's relatively still fairly simple. Oh my god, there's 9 things coming out this year. Black Widow on May 7th. Shang-Chi, Legend of the Ten Rings, July 9th. Eternals, November 5th. Spider-Man sequel, December 17th. WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, What If, Hawkeye, and Miss Marvel.
Wow.
Brilliant. Can't
They're
argue with
definitely
that.
they're definitely spoiling us.
So are they just throwing like the entire Phase 4 into 2021, I guess?
Sounds like it. And then a little bit seeping into 2022.
Yeah. Like I'm wondering, because so far we know the only 2 films that technically aren't part of Phase 4 that have been announced are Blade and Fantastic Four. Because they don't have release dates yet.
Yes.
Oh wait, and Black Panther, because it's Black Panther I think still is, because they announced that Disney Plus or D23 last August after the big announcement for Phase 4 originally happened.
Do we think that they'll be introduced in Phase 4 then? Fantastic Four and Blade, or do you think it'll just, or do you just think it'll be hinted at, or because there's a lot going, there's hinted at, yeah. There's a lot going on. You know what I mean? They're introducing a lot of new characters, and there's a lot of characters getting sort of lumped into films. I mean, I've been looking on IMDb and looking at the cast for things like the Multiverse Madness, Spidey 3. There's a lot of characters getting sort of, well, not only linked with it, but there's rumours of additional ones coming in, and I just think, I mean, don't get me wrong, I know, with Infinity War and Endgame, Marvel did it. They introduced all those characters and it worked. But to keep doing that, it's going to be a big ask. And I just think, are they really going to introduce Blade and Fantastic Four at sort of this point? Like you say, Zach, I think they'll probably hint at them. But I think the introduction might be after. Given the amount of stuff that they're packing into Phase 4 anyway.
I think that would make the most sense, right? Like that just seriously like makes the absolute most sense on paper. If like that's how you're gonna do it, you want to tease at them, get everyone hyped. They know this is coming. This is literally something everyone's waited for forever. We haven't had a good Fantastic Four movie yet. Like, like yeah, exactly. Like X-Men 2, like mind you, the original 2 X-Men and First Class and Days of Future Past were amazing, but and Logan, can't forget that. Like that's we just gotta wait a bit for that because it's so fresh. But personally, I do think we might get a small glimpse, maybe not at the Fantastic Four. I do think we're gonna get a look at Blade, specifically in Multiverse of Madness, just because it's such a out there kind of film, and it really is supernatural. Like I think that Brother Voodoo's rumored. I don't think he's confirmed, but they have like America Chavez, who's like a dimension hopping, time traveling like hero. Like they got who is it? Oh man, I'm trying to think. I need to look up that cast again.
For Multiverse.
Like they just had a ton of Mordos back in it. Wong, America Chavez, yes. Oh yes, Scarlet Witch. And oh, I guess there's not many more of the cast listed yet. But yeah, like I was seeing a bunch of like supernatural type stuff, and I was like, if they could even hint at Blade, maybe just show like a quick glimpse of Mahershala Ali, that could be it. I feel like if anything, that's what we're gonna get. The Fantastic Four.
See, I've got in the cast here for Multiverse of Madness. Now I don't know who this is. You guys being the comic fans might. America Chavez?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know who she is.
Let's do a quick little rundown. So she's also known by Miss America, like that's her superhero name.
Right.
She's been on the Young Avengers. She was Marvel's first Latin American and LGBTQ character to star in her own series. Yeah, basically.
Is she normally linked to Doctor Strange? Is she or?
Yes, and more so multiverse stuff.
Right. Okay.
Like, actually, it looks like a lot of this is with. She's kind of everywhere. Big events usually, so
right.
that should hopefully say something about how big Multiverse of Madness is going to be.
Yeah.
Well, I guess if
bring Wesley Snipes in there too, because isn't he supposed to cameo? And
I think so. They were.
So
he was
like
gonna. Yeah, apparently, like I think Snipes submitted a script to Marvel, like I think it was before Disney bought, or maybe right when Disney bought, and like they were gonna move forward with it. Obviously, like I mean, if they are using the same script, that's great. Personally, I would love to see Wesley Snipes playing Dracula.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that would be dope.
Awesome.
Yes.
And like that, I feel like that's just the best way. You have to bring the first Blade back, unless they do a little Multiverse of Madness thing, and we get to see like Wesley Snipes' Blade.
That's
what I was kind of thinking they would do. You know, that would be a lot of that'd be for the fans, fan service for them or for us.
Yeah. Does Blade again? Does Blade feature much in sort of other comics, or is he normally sort of on his own, or does he move across into other sort of storylines of other?
It kind of depends on who's writing them.
Right. Okay.
Like,
I always thought he was more of a loner.
Right now, he's in the Avengers actually.
Oh, really?
Really?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but like to be honest, like Blade's usually a lot more closely working with people like Doctor Strange, Ghost Rider, like Brother Voodoo, even like people like that. Kind of the more what were they gonna call it? Like Hellstrom too? What were they gonna call it? I forget. They're gonna do that whole spin-off with the Dark Marvel characters. I think it was like Marvel Dark.
Right.
Very original. But
Yeah.
Dark Avengers.
Yeah. The Dark Avengers. Now that's actually let's talk about Thor first, because
Yeah.
there is a lot of Thor stuff, and that will be our first film
Yeah.
of 2022 as well. So
January, I think, next year, right?
February 11th. You're very close. No, that's close enough. Let's just say January. Hopefully they move it up for us.
Right.
Yeah.
If they already started filming, they might as well, you know?
So here, I'll start this off with so Tessa Thompson last week did confirm that she will be going to Australia tomorrow, so the 11th on Monday, to be filming Thor: Love and Thunder. And the same day that was announced, Karen Gillan, Dave Bautista, and Chris Pratt arrived at a hotel in Australia. They are quarantining for 14 days, then going directly to film Thor: Love and Thunder as
Wow.
Guardians of the Galaxy guys.
Wow. Is the
Well, I
thing
know-
with that? Sorry, go on, Zach.
Oh, go ahead.
No. All I was going to say is that the interesting thing with that is that going to be a cameo, or are we going to see sort of major part in Love and Thunder for the Guardians? I'd like to have. I hope it isn't a cameo. I hope they do have sort of a big part in it. Not necessarily to take over from everything else, but I love the Guardians. I think they're brilliant. So for them, just to see them on screen more would be great for me.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I think it's gonna be like it's gonna be a reverse like Thor entrance in Infinity War. I think the Guardians are like gonna come and like help him out for a change.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it is gonna be a cameo, not the whole movie, which
Yeah.
you know it's unfortunate, but yeah, I feel like that's the way it's gonna pan out. Is they're gonna come and save the day or something while Thor's getting his ass kicked.
Yeah, it's. I mean, you look at the characters that are in there. I mean, I was just. I mean, you've got obviously the return of Natalie Portman, which interestingly on IMDb she's listed as Jane Foster stroke Thor, which I've picked up from the comics that does she become Thor at some point in the comics?
Yes.
So that's sort of hinting. That's hinting that shit that that's what's going to happen in the movie.
I think it's like cancer or something, or she got sick. So when she held Thor's hammer, she gained the power of Thor, so she wouldn't get sick anymore, or she would stay where she was at.
Yeah. So like she'd do all her chemo, so she'd get better, right? But every time she'd lift up Thor's hammer, that would just nullify all the chemo she'd done. So it just reset her back to basically like almost dying. So every
Right.
time she became Thor, she basically was just becoming weaker and weaker. Like every time
Right.
she was coming out of it, because she was just losing all the progress she had done.
Yeah.
So it was really sad, and like I'm trying to think, like we had the mention of Jane in Endgame. There was a mention of Jane in Age of Ultron, and a mention of Jane in Ragnarok.
Yeah. And in Age of Ultron. Did you say Age of Ultron? Sorry, did you say
I
it? Yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. She was mentioned.
Yeah. They mentioned her about a Nobel Peace Prize, right? And then that was just kind of never talked about again. And I know it was kind of a scene. Yeah, the testosterone scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, I don't know. I think I'm gonna take a little deeper dive look into this. I don't think this is going to be a cameo, specifically for the fact that they all flew out to Australia. I think if it was going to be a cameo, that they were just going to keep it on the Aventador, they would just film it in Atlanta, and like they could quarantine there and honestly wait for the Thor cast to get back and do their filming there. But like for them to actually go out there, I feel like they're going to be a bit more than a cameo, at least in like a full act of the movie.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah. It's that makes sense. It does make sense. Again, it comes back to what I was sort of hinting at before about the amount of characters that they have, and I know they've got form of packing a lot of characters in to films, and it works nicely. certainly with Infinity War and Endgame. But I don't know, I'm always very nervous when, I don't know if this goes back to Spider-Man 3, the original Spider-Man, where they just packed in too many villains and it just got a bit overloaded. And I'm always worried when they're just trying to pack a load of characters in. But like I said, Marvel's got history of doing it very well. So bring
and
it
it
on.
helps that we know the characters too. So
Actually, yeah, that's
weird thing with them, so they don't have to introduce.
About this
That's
movie. Oh, sorry, you kind of cut out there for a sec, Zach.
Oh no, I was gonna say that's where DC messed up with like Justice League. They just threw everybody in there, and you don't know anything about their characters. Like you don't see them outside of the suit; you just see them as the hero and all that. And it's like you got to know the man behind the mask. Like everyone likes Tony Stark more than they do Iron Man. Me personally.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like, like it is a very familiar cast for Thor: Love and Thunder. Like, is there anyone else that's been announced? I can't think of anyone off the top of my head that's actually a new character other than Gore the God Butcher. Yeah,
I was just going to say there's Christian Bale, isn't he? Which as the enemy or the who they're going to be fighting against. I think that's fine, bringing a character in like that.
I did have a thought though, because they did give some of Gore's powers from the comics to Hela in Ragnarok, like her shooting weapons all over the place. Like that's a power Gore had. So I don't know if they're going to maybe tie the two together. And honestly, maybe we're getting Kate Blanchett back as Hela.
Well, it was left open for her return. I think you didn't see her. She just went down with in flames, didn't she? You didn't see her. You don't know what happened to her. It wouldn't surprise me if she came back. To be honest, I thought she was brilliant in Ragnarok. So I would have her back.
I think she's a great actress too.
Yeah. She did. From the villains that we've seen in the MCU, she's high up on the list. I would have her.
Oh yes.
Well, yeah. I mean, they had to get rid of her in Ragnarok because if she was around for Infinity War, she would have stopped Thanos, no problem. Yeah. I mean, so it would make sense for her return right about now after all that happened, which I would love to see that happen.
Oh yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with that movie because there's so much going on.
Yeah. I think it'll probably have the same feel as Ragnarok because I think that's what sort of reinvented Thor. I think he was, and I think I can't remember if we touched on this on the last podcast, Tom. I don't know if we did. It might have been our chats before, but the first two weren't. They were good films, but Thor the character wasn't going anywhere really, and Ragnarok really brought him back and. Give him sort of another dimension, really, and I think it's the same director, isn't it? Forgetting the guy's name. It's the same.
Kia or
but
it's the same director, right?
Yeah.
Take what
so that's it. Yes.
Sorry, it took me a sec.
Yeah. So it should have the same sort of feel as Ragnarok, and I think that's probably why. Why Chris Hemsworth sort of is keen to keep doing them because he, I think in Ragnarok he got a different side out of Thor, and certainly the interviews I've seen with him, he seems to be refreshed with the character, and he's happy to keep playing him. So again, all the better. Certainly for me, all the better.
Yeah, and
I had an Uber driver actually the other day was giving me a ride to work. And he was talking about Wonder Woman and how terrible it flopped. And then he was, saying like, oh, that's why Marvel does it right. He's like, are you a Marvel fan? I'm like, well, actually, me and some people run a group on Facebook. And he's like, oh, so you're a perfect person to talk to. I'm like, sure, what's up? He's like, do you think they're going to kill Chris Hemsworth's character Thor off in Love and Thunder?
Oh.
Jane's going to be the female Thor. I don't know why I did quotes, but like I did it for being Thor. I don't think she'll actually become Thor, just use her or his powers. But and I started thinking like, well, I don't think they're gonna kill him off necessarily, but it's gonna be like the end of Endgame kind of thing where he, at the end of the movie, just kind of walks away from everything.
Yeah.
So he brought back possibly in later movies to cameo, or if they're gonna continue, him as a regular character. Because I know he doesn't want to give up the role. I mean,
oh no, he really likes it. And Chris, I'm pretty sure we actually might have talked about this a bit last week about having one on Earth, one in space.
Yeah, I think we did, because I think the discussion was sort of along the lines of what they're going to do, how they're going to phase in the old characters with the new characters, and Thor was sort of the prime example where, what are you going to do with him now? Are you going to bring him back for the Avenger films, or is the Avengers going to go down, a new route with Spider-Man and Doctor Strange and whoever else sort of comes in, and you leave Thor, out the way with the Guardians somewhere, somewhere else in the galaxy type of thing, and would they kill him off? I think you're right. I think they're going to just sort of probably just leave him out there, and he'll come back when he needs to, or when they need him to, when Marvel needs him to cameo in Avengers or whatever sort of team up films they have in the future. Because that is something interesting that they haven't actually brought out. We've got all these films coming out, but we haven't got a big sort of team up film like the Avengers. So it'll be interesting to see where Marvel go with that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Which, yeah, I mean, that would make sense, having a Thor on Earth and a Thor out there, because, well, Jane Foster could keep Mjolnir with her, and then Thor can just take the Stormbreaker with him.
Yeah.
Well, actually, didn't Captain America return Mjolnir though?
Yes, he did.
Oh, he did.
So that's something we got to remember.
So,
and Eitri is the only one of the dwarfs on Nidavellir that's actually still alive, because all the other ones were killed before the snap, and we all know what before the snap deaths mean.
Yeah, it's pretty much final.
Yeah. So,
I say pretty much just because in the comics, no Marvel character ever really truly dies. They always come back somehow.
And I mean, to be honest, give it 10 years. Yeah, wait until Marvel announces Secret Wars. I will guarantee you Robert Downey Jr. will appear as Iron Man. Guarantee you.
Well, this is the question I was about to ask there when we're talking about when you just said there, Zach, about in the comic books no one really dies. Do you think Marvel will stick with that in the films, because it is a different universe, you know what I mean? And personally, I think deaths do have to stick every now and again. But it's interesting you say there, Tom, that you think Robert Downey Jr. might reappear in the future. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
It's a weird situation, right? Like, because hearing Feige and especially the Russo brothers talk about it, they were so set in stone. They're like, yeah, like the people like we're killing off, like we intend for their deaths to have meaning, and like this impact to last further on the MCU. Which I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, so the Black Widow movie is clearly not going to undo Black Widow dying.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just feel like for right now they won't, but everyone always says that at the beginning, because I think DC and Marvel have said multiple times in the comics, we're not going to reboot again. And I think DC's rebooted, I think, for what is it now, the 5th time in the past 10 years?
Yeah.
Something like that. Like it's absurd. You can't trust them.
I think they meant it when they said it, but obviously with bringing a version of Gamora back in Endgame, that kind of leaves it open to if they change their mind and want to bring them back, they can always go through the quantum realm to a different timeline and snag that, version of themselves into their time. Although it's going to screw with their timeline, which makes me wonder, the 2014 version Gamora, her staying in our present day, that right there screws up that timeline.
Well, that timeline version of Gamora too is like that Thanos that's now gone. And here's also the thing: we don't really know what happened to the Thanos. Like, was he just dusted and they're gone out of existence, or did Tony send everyone back to 2014? Like, we also don't know that. Something we probably will never get an answer to, honestly. But
yeah,
I don't know. Just something to think about.
and obviously there's a 2012 version timeline screwed up with Loki taking the Space Stone.
Yeah.
So there's two different timelines already that are out of whack, which they'll probably explain one of those in the multiverse or the Loki film, obviously.
Yeah, this is again. I find it interesting when in Spider-Man: Far From Home, when it was the trailers were hinting very much at sort of the multiverse in that film. Obviously, it didn't turn out to be that way. And I remember thinking at the time with that, thinking, "Oh, they're really going to go down the multiverse," because it's sort of for probably fans like us. I think it's, or certainly for myself, I think, oh, this is brilliant. You know, completely opens it up for anything to happen. But then you've got to think of sort of the sort of Joe Blogs who just wants to go and see a good film, and does it start make it too wacky for sort of the, you know, the sort of the Joe Blogs who just wants to see a good film? Will it be put off when, you know, like Multiverse of Madness, that there's going to be all these characters thrown in? I don't know. I mean, maybe I shouldn't even be thinking like that. I should just be thinking, bring it on. I'm wanting everything to go batshit crazy and just see as many heroes as I want. But
well, I
again,
think that's what Endgame and Infinity War did. Kind of little steps getting us used to that many characters in one film. So when they do another one, you know, we're already kind of like, all right, this is what happens. You know, we're used to this in the Marvel universe now.
Yeah, that's true. And I don't know if you've seen on Disney Plus. I was just watching them the other night. They've done. They're only about 7-8 minutes long. They're called Legends.
Yes.
And it's obviously setting up. They've done it for Wanda and for Vision. So there's two, so each, and it's basically just a recap of their character over the MCU. And I think it's obviously they're doing it just to, maybe as like a jump on point for people, maybe just to say, oh right, Wandavision, or who's these characters? Oh, I'll watch the Legends and see what happens. You know, where these characters come from, what they've gone through. And it's quite good. It's quite a good little catch up, really, to find out who them characters are and what they've gone through. I must admit, I watched both the Wanda one and the Vision one. And I've probably seen the films that many times that I didn't need that catch up mind. But yeah. I think for a lot of people, it probably would be helpful.
Oh yes,
right.
Like, yeah,
I think I'm actually gonna watch that when we're done here.
Dude, honestly, I'd recommend it because even like the scenes they show us, right? Like they're like it's movie scenes, right? But like it's edited together, right? So it's the different scenes from the movie edited together, and I don't know, Marvel's sneaky like that. I wonder if some of the editing has a place. Like obviously everyone knows Quicksilver was in Age of Ultron. In the WandaVision or in the Wanda promotional thing for on Legends, Quicksilver was there for I want to say almost half of the screen time on it. Like it is a big moment in her life when he dies, but I found it odd how much they just focused on him, and it just makes me wonder, like, bringing the boy back.
I agree, and this goes back to I think you mentioned it, Tom, that there's a clip in one of the trailers for WandaVision. I think Vision moves really fast. He moves like Quicksilver. I don't know if you want to explain your theory on this.
Yeah, sure. So I've seen it around as well, but so Vision moves just like Quicksilver. I was kind of thinking it was something very similar to a few other scenes that have been shot in the MCU, where that it's just completely misleading. Either that isn't Vision at all, that's actually Aaron Taylor Johnson's Quicksilver running through, or maybe because Evan Peters actually is confirmed in the cast, and those of you who don't know him, he did play Quicksilver in the Fox X-Men universe.
Yep.
So
my favorite Quicksilver.
I think it's either of those two. I'm almost positive it's not Vision. I think if I had to do another like third guess, I'd say it'd be like one of the kids, probably Speed. But I'm almost convinced that that's just a fake out scene, like the Hulk in Wakanda.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about that misleading part.
Yeah.
It'll be super interesting to just see all that.
I would love it to be Evan Peters, though. He's my favorite version of Quicksilver.
He does have a role for sure. Like, that's confirmed.
Yeah.
But we just don't know if it's gonna be, because he could be playing the Fox X-Men Quicksilver too, and this could just be part of the link that they have to Multiverse of Madness, where he's just getting ripped from his timeline because Wanda wants her brother back, and maybe that's like kind of some of the stuff that's going along with Vision. I mean, most of that's kind of just me reaching. There's no actual concrete proof to anything of that. But like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's why we're here.
Exactly. It's all on the table, and it's exciting. But I think there's one more Marvel Studios Disney Plus show I think we need to talk about. One thing that I think, actually, let's not talk about the show that the person might feature on. Let's first take it back to a simpler time, back when Marvel didn't have all the rights to their characters, or at least most of them, because you're still missing a few. But as most people know, there's a Netflix series called The Defenders, featuring Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and Daredevil. And they were all based on, the shows were all filmed for Netflix. Marvel shows supposed to have very, very loose ties to the MCU. Eventually weren't really called canon. All the shows got canceled. The rights have just reverted back to Marvel. So now they're kind of in a limbo area with those old shows. And let's first talk about the Spider-Man 3 rumor. So Chris, you want to get started on that one?
Well, the rumor that I've heard is that I'm trying to think. I can't even remember where I got this from, but that Charlie Cox will be appearing in it as Daredevil. Again, it's just I mean, it is just simply a rumor, but it would make sense because I've heard that Daredevil and Spider-Man are heavily linked in the comics. I don't know how they're sort of. I don't know how the Spider-Man in the MCU and the Daredevil that we've seen in the Netflix shows don't feel like two characters that would blend together very well. But that being said, if they are characters that sort of team up quite often in the comics, it makes sense that Daredevil might appear. And to be honest, I thought Charlie Cox was absolutely brilliant as Daredevil. I absolutely loved the TV show. So again, you know my hesitation with lumping a load of characters into one film and making sure that it works, but I would love Daredevil to be there if it is true.
Well, I heard a rumor that the way they would link them together in the movie would be that he would be Peter Parker's lawyer for the death of Mysterio. That's how their connection would be, which I thought would be amazing. And obviously,
I heard they might have the dual link. Do a Peter Parker, Matt Murdock link, and also do a Spider-Man Daredevil link. Because like it's kind of clear they're doing the Sinister Six, so I'm guessing Spider-Man's not going to fight them alone.
Right. That'd be pretty amazing, and but I don't think he'd be able to do it. Maybe with the Iron Suit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's that would make sense given what happened at the end of Far From Home. If Daredevil or Matt Murdock does sort of represent, but again, that's an interesting. It seems to, with all the news that's coming out of the third Spider-Man, it's all these news about different people linked to it. The Andrew Garfield, forgetting the first Spider-Man now.
Tobey
Maguire, and everyone else. We've got Doc Ock, we've got Electro. You've got all these different characters coming back, Yet at the very end of Far From Home, we've got Peter Parker being outed basically, and to me, you could have just had a film based on what happens after that. And it looks like it's going to go in a completely different direction with a sort of a Spider-Verse type sort of film going ahead. But yeah, it'll be interesting.
I seriously wonder, because I feel like Spider-Man 3 wasn't really supposed to happen at the time that Far From Home was filmed, right? Like, the new deal with Sony hadn't been signed. Because after that movie, then Spider-Man was out of the MCU, and then there was that whole thing that went on for a bit.
Yeah.
So then they re-signed up, and like we know, like Marvel had to take hits. Like Morbius has to now semi-connect to the MCU. So does Venom, which we'll see how that goes. But I honestly think that for this one, I feel like it's being hyped up as a multiverse movie, and it's going to completely let people down, because I do think we're going to see at least Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire in a post-credit scene or in the very last scene of the movie, warning Peter about the multiverse, and maybe they do that. But I do think like maybe these villains from the multiverse, like Electro, Rhino, I also heard Sandman, Doc Ock, like they'll form that Sinister Six fight on that Earth. Spider-Man's going to have to fight them while hiding from people. Or not while hiding from people, while avoiding like trying to get arrested, because everyone thinks he's a murderer, while trying to clear his name as Peter Parker. I think they're kind of they might mash that all in together and just kind of leave the finer multiverse stuff for like either post-credit scenes or right at the end.
So you think the likes of the return of Electro, like Jamie Foxx and is it Alfred Molina as Doc Ock? Do you think there's going to be no links to the sort of the multiverse with them? It's just they're going to be a little bit like I'm forgetting the character.
J.K. Simmons.
Yes, yeah, just a little like him, where it's just the same character, it's just the same actor. But
I think for some of them, I think there's going to be some that are clearly the exact same one from the other universe, very clearly. Electro sounds like it's going to be different, at least from what Jamie Foxx was originally like posting on Instagram, like saying like, don't worry, I'm not going to be blue this time. And for me, that immediately is like, okay, so you're not that version of Electro.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they'll make like an actual Electro, like maybe with the crazy little face mask Thunderbolt thing on it.
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah. That'd be cool.
With what you're saying, with having to connect Morbius and Venom, I mean, yeah, it could all be done through the multiverse. That's the easy way. But Venom's going to be difficult if they don't go that route, because in the Venom film, everyone was freaking out about aliens. Well, I mean, shouldn't they be already kind of used to aliens with, the New York, it's the Battle of New York. And I mean, Thor, he's technically an alien to them.
Yeah.
Like I said, easy way would be the multiverse, but
there's two ways you can kind of go about it. It's like there's the people who are like deniers, like we saw in the aftermath of the Avengers TV. They're just like, aliens in New York, that's garbage. Like the Stan Lee thing, like right, like they're like the quote unquote deniers. They don't think it's real. I guess you could maybe do that. Personally, I think they're just going to retcon the first movie and just kind of subtly hint that the events in it happened just in a different world.
Okay.
And just kind of be like...
Just as long as they don't chalk it up as, it's a different timeline, because I feel like that's just an easy out for everything to combine, That would get old very quick.
Yeah, like honestly, I kind of do think they're going to do a very similar thing if Charlie Cox continues as Daredevil. Like they're going to continue him, keep the stuff that was built up for him before, but don't really mention it or actually show too much of it, because it's technically not canon, right? Like you can mention it, kind of be like, like this stuff happened, and you can be like, it happened in a similar to way as to I saw on that show, but it obviously to be more in tune with that universe.
Yeah, I don't think you need to. Sorry, go on, Zach.
I was gonna say, I'd prefer something like that. Like little things just brought up here and there, not completely restarting.
Yeah. I don't think you need to with him. The TV. A lot of people would have seen the TV program, and his character was well built up. It was done very well, I thought, and I think you could just drop him into Spidey 3, and like you say, just hint at some of the stuff. You don't need to go over everything, but certainly keep that character. Just pick him up from the end of series 3 of Daredevil or whatever it was, and just drop him in. I think that would work. I think.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go a little like fan fiction moment. I just kind of picture it's gonna be like Peter Parker's like sitting somewhere trying to get some legal advice. There's a knock on the door. Door opens. You think it's gonna be Matt Murdock? Nope. It's Karen Page and Foggy Nelson, and they come in. It's like, hi, we're Nelson and Murdock, and we'd like to represent you in this case. It's like our lead lawyer Matt Murdock is like not here currently, but like he will be here. And if it's the same actors for both of them, I will lose my mind.
Yes, that scenario sounds awesome. It's brilliant.
I'm hyping myself up too much, and this probably won't happen. But still,
you're hyping me up as well.
Oh, that'd be beautiful. Oh, all right.
Brilliant.
I'm trying to think. Like, there's a few. Oh, yes. So, Daredevil and Spider-Man 3, but also now the new rumor today that Kristen Ritter's Jessica Jones may be in talks to appear in the She-Hulk series.
Again, I'm down for that. Very much down for that. The two I watched and enjoyed the most was from the Netflix series was Jessica Jones and Daredevil, and I thought Kristen Ritter was absolutely brilliant as Jessica Jones. Didn't know the character at all before I watched that, so I don't know how it's played out in the comics, but certainly
very different.
Oh, really? All right, okay.
Like this one's based on the most popular run, like the Alias, Jessica Jones Alias.
Yeah,
it's really good, but even then it's still different. Like she can fly and everything in the other ones. She has an actual costume,
right? Because they're very much grounded her in the TV series. I thought. Yeah,
I think that kind of actually helps her character more, especially just the way Kristen Ritter played her.
Yeah,
it just seemed like, I mean, some wild stuff happened, especially in the second season, like with her family and everything. But like it still just felt like grounded. It felt like it was its own. It didn't feel like it needed to draw from really anything else. And I mean, she's a PI, right?
It would fit. It would fit with the She-Hulk, sure, wouldn't it?
Because like Jennifer Walters is a lawyer, and that's also where I was kind of thinking, well, maybe Daredevil could show up here if he's not in Spider-Man. And then now this with like Kristen Ritter being rumored to have talks with them, I'm like, are they just going to use this to bring all the good Marvel Netflix shows back?
Well, this prompts the question: who are the good ones? Because for me, it was Daredevil and Jessica Jones. I wasn't as keen on Iron Fist and Luke Cage. No.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. The first season of Iron Fist for me was terrible. It was awful. The second season I thought was a huge improvement. It was actually like getting to be really good, and then it got canceled like 2 days after it came out.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that sucks. Luke Cage had a really good first half of its first season. Then they killed Cottonmouth.
Yeah, that was a bad move, I thought.
I mean, I guess it's good because it's going to get us Mahershala Ali as Blade.
Yes,
and
true.
I guess now it's probably best just because of all that we don't bring Mike Coulter back as Luke Cage, which I'm okay with, but kind of sucks for him. Like, I didn't mind his role at all. It's just the writing wasn't great.
Yeah, I probably agree. It wasn't him. I thought Luke Cage. Yeah, he did well with Luke Cage, but it wasn't, like you say, it's probably whether it was the writing just didn't seem to. The first series was okay. The second series, I got very bored with the second. But there we go.
Yeah. I'll admit I never got into Iron Fist or Luke Cage because that was around the time I was watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and, well, like we said earlier, took up a lot of my time.
Yeah.
I don't know. Are those shows still on Netflix?
They're all still there, and they will stay there because even though they're Marvel properties, it is a Netflix show. Netflix did make the show, well, in a coordination with like ABC, Marvel, but yeah, it should stay there unless Marvel. I think Marvel would have to actually outright just buy the show from them in order to put it on like Disney Plus or Hulu. So, not really worth it, especially if they aren't bringing all of them back.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I should maybe watch those just so I,
To be honest, yeah, I mean,
maybe the
certainly,
Defenders.
yeah, I mean, certainly Jessica Jones and Daredevil, definitely watch. The Defenders, yeah, that was okay, and yeah, I mean, I watched Luke Cage probably because there was nothing on the TV, and it was okay. Iron Fist, I must admit, I struggled with Iron Fist, I really did. Just couldn't connect with that. Never watched The Punisher. I didn't get around to watching that.
Punisher, I was like 3 or 4 episodes in, and I liked it, especially the actor for it.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, I don't know.
The other one
I
rumored to come back. Oh, sorry, Zach, I cut you off there.
Oh no! Just for some reason I stopped watching, and I mean the Punisher movies were great, or was great. I think there's two versions of the Punisher films.
There's like the Punisher Warzone, right?
Yeah.
And then, what's the other one? Is it just called The Punisher?
Yeah, with John Travolta.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that one's called just The Punisher. That's the one I liked.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, even the show was good too. It's just I don't know what it is. I don't know if I forgot about it or like internet was shut off or something for a couple of days, and I just started watching something else.
True.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'd suggest it to anyone who likes the Punisher and honestly just even wants to learn a bit more about him, because the first season is like, it's like a character dive, and like you do get a bit of it in the Daredevil show too, right? In season 2.
Yeah, you do.
But
yeah.
It was amazing, and John Bernthal just did an amazing job in both seasons. Like he was, especially in the second season, he really just put the show on his back and was like, "Yep, I'm gonna make this the best it can be."
Yeah, I might have to give them a go, because I thought he was good in Daredevil, the sort of the part he had. But I think Punisher came, or Punisher must have come out sort of around the time where they were sort of cancelling everything anyway on Netflix. So
Yeah,
I think I sort of lost interest because I knew they were getting cancelled.
The first season came out like 8 months before Daredevil got canceled, and the second season was already done, filmed and everything, supposed to come out in March, and Daredevil was canceled in November.
Yeah. It doesn't surprise. I mean, when these were getting cancelled, I remember at the time thinking, "Oh, this is Marvel just getting everything back," And I was hoping that they'd keep these characters on, keep the actors on, because they were good actors for them characters. And so I'm glad that we're getting these rumors now, particularly the two that my two favourites with Charlie Cox and Kristen Ritter, because it'd be good to see them back in them roles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great just to even get a mention of either of those characters, because I bet you it's going to be teased into the show. We aren't going to get like episode 1 of She-Hulk drops, or like first 5 minutes of Spider-Man 3 starts playing. Like, I don't think we're going to be like Jessica Jones or Matt Murdock walks in, or even like something like that. Maybe like a little tease, be like, oh yeah, we need like alias investigations, or we need Murdoch and Nelson, or Nelson and Murdoch rather.
Yeah. I think in the She-Hulk, because Bruce Banner is going to be in it, isn't he?
Yes.
I think. Yeah, I think that'll be that. I think that might be sort of like an introduction. I think Bruce Banner will be in probably the first episode, and then I don't think we'll see him after that. Might be wrong, but I can just see him sort of being there as the big character that everyone knows.
Some familiarity.
Sorry, did we lose you there, Zach?
Yeah, you all good, Zach?
Oh, I'm good.
Okay.
I think you can hear me, right?
Yeah, it just got a little glitchy for a second.
No, you froze.
All right. Yeah, no, I
You froze for a minute there, Chris.
oh, right, sorry. From across the pond.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was saying, I think Bruce Banner will probably appear in She-Hulk, just maybe in the initial episode, first episode, be that sort of big character that everyone knows from the films. You know, get that sort of series running, get the interest in that first episode. Then I don't think we'll see him after that.
Hopefully they don't recast Mark Ruffalo. Yeah, he's great as Banner and Hulk.
I don't think he's going to get recast. I'm very, I want to say confused with how I think they're going to do this. Because, so Jennifer Walters is Bruce Banner's cousin. I personally don't think she's going to start out the series with her powers. I agree with what Chris said. I think what's going to happen is like, well, how she gets her powers in the comics is Bruce gives her a blood transfusion because she was dying and needed one. He gave her a blood transfusion, saved her life, and ended up turning her into She-Hulk. So
Right.
I wonder if it's going to be a similar thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe we might get Bruce for like maybe episode like 2 and 3, and maybe just for the finale versus Abomination.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I don't think he's going to be a huge central figure in the show. I think he's going to be either a cameo kind of figure or just like only for the big moments. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, we've gone over quite a lot there.
Yeah, we have. So, yeah, I think I don't know about you guys, but I think we may be set for some content for this week.
Yeah.
Hour and 8
yeah.
minutes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, shall we? We've talked about doing the trivia cards.
Let's do those. We immediately skipped over them.
I know we did, didn't we? Well, these are just to sort of give a background. The trivia cards is actually a Christmas present I got, which is just cards with questions on about Marvel, not the MCU. It's the comic book or the comics in general, and each card has a particular or refers to a superhero or a supervillain, and just gives three questions. Now, considering Wandavision starts next week, I've got, well, there's 4 cards, 3 relating to Scarlet Witch and 1 Quicksilver. To be honest, they're all sort of intermingled anyway. But should I crack on with these questions and see how you guys get on with with some of the questions?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I looking over them, and I've looked over some of the other ones. As an MCU fan, you'd probably get a lot of them anyway quite easily. Certainly, as a comic book fan, you should get them all. So I'm putting the pressure on, but I think there is the odd one which we might struggle with, but I've got 4 cards here, so we'll get cracking with some of them. First one's quite easy. I've got 3 answers, but I don't think I need to give you the 3. 3 choices, but I don't think I need to give you the 3 choices. What is the full name of Scarlet Witch?
Wanda Maximoff.
Yeah, there we go. Next one. Again, I don't think I even need to ask this. It's a true or false. The Scarlet Witch has a twin sister.
Say it with me, Zach. False.
Yeah, pretty easy one. This is one which I think is going to sort of hint at or certainly going to happen in the TV program. Who are the Scarlet Witch's twin sons? What are their names?
Ooh. I do know this one. Her children are Wiccan and Speed.
Wiccan and Speed. Yes, that's correct. Okay, we'll go on to the next one. Who does the Scarlet? Again, this is easy. Who does the Scarlet Witch marry?
The Vision.
Yep.
There we go.
Right. See, this is one that I didn't know. True or false? The Scarlet Witch once destroyed her team's base, the Avengers Mansion.
Oh, true. Yes.
That is true. Yes. Do you have any background to that, Tom? What actually happens there?
I would read House of M and then read Avengers Disassembled.
Right.
That's the best advice I can give you, because I just don't want to say anything because I'm worried that some of that might actually get brought into the WandaVision series.
Okay.
So
spoilers.
I want to see a few episodes first, and then I'll give a good answer for that.
Fair enough. That's fair enough. Yeah. Okay. Next one. Which demonic villain tries to use the Scarlet Witch as a vessel for his evil plans?
Mephisto. Is it Mephisto?
If I'm pronouncing this right, is it Scython?
Oh, I think so. Yes, Scython. Yes.
It's CHTHON. Scython.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. 2 more cards left.
Oh no, Mephisto was that's who was helping Thanos out in the Infinity Gauntlet story. I'm mixing my years up.
All right. Another easy one. Who is Scarlet Witch's brother?
I'm gonna have to go out on a limb here.
Do you need
to
answer that?
Say Bruce Banner, the Hulk. We know it's Quicksilver.
Yeah.
Pietro Maximoff.
This is another, again, probably one for the comic fans. True or false? Before joining the Avengers, the Scarlet Witch was a member of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
That's a good one. She was. However, depending on what you read now, she also wasn't, because it depends on if Magneto was her father at the time or not.
Yeah.
And it kept changing because Marvel didn't have the rights to the X-Men, so they were like, we don't really want to make Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver mutants again.
Yeah. Well, according to my card here, it's true. She was. So there we go.
So that is still canon.
Yeah. This is an interesting one. What is Scarlet Witch's superpower?
Oh, chaos magic. No, that's DC. Oh, I forget the kind of magic it's called. Is it chaos?
It's well, the answer I've got is, see, this is when I read the question to this, I was like, how do you answer this? Because she has a lot of abilities, certainly in the MCU anyway. But what the answer I've got here is she can reshape reality. The Ultron effects are known as hexes. That's the answer.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Not. Don't know. If
I don't think I would have got that.
Yeah. Well. That's it. Okay, I'm just looking at the final card. It's the Quicksilver card. I think you're going to probably get these fairly easily. What is Quicksilver's superpower? Invincibility, time travel, or super speed? Right.
Super speed. I mean, if we're taking a page out of DC's book, maybe they're going to give him time travel too. We'll see.
Does he get that ability in the comics or not?
No, but Quicksilver doesn't, because the whole thing with the Flash, that he's even able to do that, is his connection to the Speed Force.
Right.
Which
okay.
in and of itself is the most complicated thing in DC.
Yeah. Right. Another true or false. I think we had this on a previous one. Quicksilver's sister is the Scarlet Witch. I think we can just move on. Last one. Quicksilver's ex-wife, Crystal, was a member of which superhero team?
Was it the X-Men or Alpha Flight?
The answer I've got here is the Inhumans.
No, I'm dumb.
Well, you certainly know more than what I do anyway, so I wouldn't have gotten that. But yeah, there we go. That's the trivia cards for us.
That makes me think. If they do bring Quicksilver back, Miss Marvel is an Inhuman, and her show is coming out this year, apparently with some link to the Inhumans. So maybe that can be something we can talk about next week.
Yes. Yeah, we can do.
Alrighty. I'm going to end it off here, though. Thank you for everyone who tuned in. And, we'll catch you back next week.
Yeah,
hopefully
thank you.
with a lot more talk on WandaVision.
Yes, thank you.